Well, hello everyone. I am Miss Stephanie, and thank you for tuning in to our Let's Talk About It at Willard Library. We air every first Thursday of the month, and it begins at 6 o'clock. And our goal is to interview different organizations in the community and county that might have information or resources that will be helpful to the community. And so on today, this month in October, we are so excited to have Hadlee, who is here from Safe Place. And so Hadlee, can you tell us a little bit about Safe Place and why October is a special month?
Yeah, so Safe Place is a shelter here in Calhoun County. We are located in downtown Battle Creek. We serve survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking. And October is a really special month for us because it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is celebrated annually all across the country.
All right, so it's very fitting that we had this opportunity to talk to one another and to share this information with the community. So can you tell us a little history about Safe Place in Battle Creek?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So Safe Place started as kind of a concept in 1982, but didn't officially start serving the community until 1983 when they opened their first shelter. That first building was donated to us by Miller Foundation, and with the work of a lot of board members and volunteers, they were able to renovate it. And then in 1989, we actually moved into the building that we're still in to this day, which was completely renovated again by volunteers and people just passionate. And over the course of the last 40 years, we've grown to be a 54-bed shelter and serve about 2,300 clients a year.
Wow. So tell me, what services are available to the residents, and do they have to actually be a resident to receive services?
Yeah, great question. So Safe Place does serve any and all survivors of intimate partner violence here in Calhoun County. And so you do not need to be a resident staying with us. The services we offer include that emergency shelter, counseling and support groups, legal advocacy, which looks like helping to file for PPOs or court accompaniment. And then we also have rapid rehousing available for survivors and survivor advocacy that does resource and referrals. It operates as kind of the equivalent of like case management.
Okay.
And services can primarily be accessed via our 24/7 hotline or via forms on our website if a survivor knows that they're looking for a very specific service from us.
And of course, you said that there is a website, and so they could go, let's say they come here to the library, they could go to the website to find out all the resources and numbers that you have available.
Yep, and that website is safeplaceshelter.org.
Okay, safeplaceshelter.org. And also, you feel free to call 269-968-8166, extension 501, which is my extension, and I will do my best to refer you to all the correct telephone numbers and addresses that you may need. And so if someone is experiencing domestic violence, what is the first step they need to take?
That's a weird question. The first step to take for someone experiencing intimate partner violence would probably be deciding what they want to do.
Okay.
Each survivor knows their own experience best and knows the best way to stay safe. So that might look like it may be appropriate for a survivor to leave a relationship.
Okay.
It might be appropriate to seek counseling or advocacy while staying in that relationship.
Okay.
And it also might be appropriate to do nothing at the time. It might look like doing just some basic safety planning, right? Like knowing to keep your phone charged. If a fight starts to escalate, maybe staying away from things like stairs and instead moving towards doors that you could leave from. But just coming up with code words. Maybe you're in an apartment building and you know your neighbors can hear you, so if you have a code word with a neighbor that you could text or a family member, that might be the steps.
That is very good information. And so I don't know if I asked you this, is there other services that you provide other than domestic violence?
Yes. So it's kind of a yes and no to that question,
Okay.
actually. So as of October 1st, we'll be expanding our services to also serve survivors of sex trafficking.
Okay.
And survivors of sex trafficking will have access to all of the same services as domestic violence survivors and can access services the exact same way through our hotline or the website. Moving forward, an individual will be looking for either that intimate partner violence piece or sex trafficking when assessing for an intake. But we also serve secondary survivors of both trafficking and domestic violence, which might look like a child, or sometimes parents have questions about what their kids are going through, right, and are looking for resources, or maybe like a close friend or something. We can also serve those secondary victims.
That's good to know, because that was my next question. Do you have services for youth that are exposed to that? So that's real good information to know. And then my next question is, how can the community help? How can we help as a community?
Yeah, there are a lot of ways to get involved and support survivors in our community. The best way to stay up to date to that is by looking at our Facebook page. We regularly post donation needs, so sometimes when somebody comes into shelter, they get bedding and towels and hygiene items and everything that they're going to need to be comfortable for a stay. It might look like offering volunteer services. We run a shelter that looks a lot like a house, right? So sometimes people think, I don't know that I'm ready to be like a victim advocate, right? But maybe you are ready to help organize or do maintenance on the building or paint or offer some sort of unique skill that we all have or enjoy doing, right? So the best place to find that is always on our website.
Okay, that's good to know. And then I know you talked about this before, but how many does your shelter hold? How many does it house?
We have 54 beds in shelter, and so the makeup of that kind of just depends on the families that we have in, right? But 54 beds.
And how long are they allowed to stay in the shelter?
That is completely dependent on each survivor and what their needs are.
Okay, that's good to know. And then I know, unfortunately, there are certain seasons where a lot of places are full. If we know, if you are full, where are some other resources? What are some recommendations to someone that might be experiencing violence, domestic violence?
So in the case that we're full, what we would do if someone called our hotline or reached out for services is we can offer them options. That might look like a hotel room to stay temporarily. That may look like helping with transportation to a shelter in another county, or transportation to stay with family and friends in another county. The access point would still just be contacting us, and we can see how we can help or what referrals we may be able to make.
And I know you touched on this before, but perhaps someone is watching and they're not really sure they are experiencing signs of domestic violence. Can you speak to that? What are some signs that they should be looking for?
Yeah, so there are a lot of signs of domestic violence, and something I would say is that we all know, like, if we're maybe looking at a family or friend or ourselves, like, we know ourselves best and we know those family and friends best. So if something seems off, it might be off, right? And so some options with that would be, on our website we have a power and control wheel that is used to identify what domestic violence is and what it looks like. So that's a really great resource to be able to look at. Additionally, there's always the option of calling our hotline, right? And just saying, I have some questions, maybe I just want to talk for a little while, and an advocate is available 24/7 to do that.
Okay. And you also have resources for sexual assault victims as well?
Sex trafficking.
Sex trafficking?
Yep.
Okay.
And so that could look the same. If I think something weird is happening to me, you can call that 24/7 hotline and we can help guide. We have some questions that'll help us feel out the situation and help identify maybe what someone might be experiencing.
All right. So if you're just tuning in, this is Hadlee from Safe Place, and she has just given us some information, signs of what to look for if you feel like you are a victim of domestic violence. She's also talked about resources that they have available. Can you tell people who are listening again the name of your website?
Yes. Our website is safeplaceshelter.org.
Yes, and if you ever have any questions, you may also contact me, Ms. Stephanie, the Social Services Information Librarian, at 269-968-8166, extension 501, and I will try to refer you to all the different resources that the community has available, which includes who we're interviewing today, Safe Place. And also we have lots of books and resources here of information that, that might be helpful if you want to know more information about that topic, or if you need to use our computers or any resources that we have to contact Safe Place. So Hadlee, thanks again for taking the time out to interview and letting the community know what information is available. October is Domestic Violence Month, and I thought it was important that we give our listeners the hotline information and the website so they can find out more information and know who they need to contact if they're in a serious situation. So can you give us that information, please?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you. So our phone number, our 24/7 hotline is 269-965-7233. An easier way to remember that is 269-965-SAFE. And then our website can be accessed at safeplaceshelter.org. And on that website we have forms that go directly to different services. So if someone was interested specifically in counseling, they could just fill out a counseling form and somebody will follow up with them.
All right, well thank you for that information. We hope this information was helpful to you. Please like and share, and thanks again for coming.
Thank you so much.